This podcast is clean because Poltergeist is coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevene. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time, and today that is myself. Tommy, I know that this must be a classic for you. You watch it every October,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. But we are not alone here today. We are welcomed by a very special guest, Robert of the Stew World Order podcast. They review comic book movies 3 times a month. You can find him at his website, swoproductions.com, for other entertainment articles and reviews. And you can also find him on Twitter, SWO Productions. Robert, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Tim. I'm happy to be here. I think Tommy typically runs your Twitter account, but I talk to
That's
Yeah.
Tommy frequently on Twitter, and he's always been a wonderful compatriot over on the Twitter machines.
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that because it's very rare on Twitter to have some wonderful compatriots on there. Usually it's just people hurling slurs and insults at you. So it's nice that you can build a
Yeah.
community on that
We
on
have a
that
slightly
website.
positive build community
Yeah,
right
we
there.
we have we have we do positive things on our Twitter. We're not trying to get into the wars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely. I completely am on the same page there.
Yeah.
s- so Robert, for you, is this your first time viewing Poltergeist? Is this a seasonal rewatch classic for you? What is your relationship to Poltergeist?
It's definitely not a seasonal rewatch, but this is arguably one of my first ever favorite movies. As bad as it is, I think I'm a little bit older than the two of you. I was growing up in the 80s. I was alive when this movie came out. And apparently, everything I've always been told is I was 4 years old, and this movie would come on TV, and I would sit like 5 feet from the TV, just engrossed in this movie, like shaking because I was scared of it, but just like I absolutely loved it. And whenever you grew up in the 80s, that was what your parents were like. As this movie shows you, they're
Yeah.
just sit you down in front of anything and be like, "Yeah, here, watch this." Like
Hey,
I grew up watching the Jason movies and the Freddy movies and everything else, and this was something that apparently when I was very young, it was this and it was Michael Jackson's Thriller video that I was just absolutely obsessed with as a small child. But this is probably I watched it, I want to say maybe like 10 or 12 years ago over at a friend's house. We had a big viewing where a bunch of people came over and watched it, but those would be the only 2 times I've seen it as an adult. So it's been a
Oh
long
wow.
time for me. Yeah, it's not a seasonal rewatch, but it's a movie that I'm definitely very tied to in my life.
so you're a little bit like Carol Ann in the opening sequence of this movie, just drawn down the stairs, right to the TV, hands pressed against it to
A
watch
hundred percent.
Poltergeist. Okay, cool, cool. Well, it's nice that we're getting some symmetry here to kick off the podcast here. Uh, no, for me, I mean, I liked this movie a lot. Tobe
Hmm.
Hooper, who directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre infamously, which we covered last year with who did we
Cody
have on?
Tucker, yeah.
Cody Tucker.
That's a
Uh,
five-star banger for all of us.
yeah, that one was one of my absolute favorites. You could just feel like the grit and the thing there. It's very interesting. I'm sure we'll cover the Steven Spielberg angle because he famously produced this movie. That where you could definitely feel some of that element to it versus that like real raw slasher grittiness that
Well, yeah, like
encroached on you.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Tobe Hooper was pretty much just abusing his cast. Just like
Yes.
Gunnar Hansen was like disgusting as fucking didn't take showers for weeks, and he had this like disgusting, revolting costume on. Where like this movie is a little more Hollywood, to say
He
the least.
def
Steven Spielberg's involved,
yeah,
more than a little
definitely.
more, but
The,
yeah.
the nice Jerry Goldsmith score underneath it, just lovely, lively
Mhm.
score, hinting the undertones underneath it. Yeah, it's a very good movie. Now, for you, Tommy, do you do watch this every year? Is this a annual rewatch?
Not every year. Last time I saw it was about 3 years ago, in theaters. They're doing a screening of it. I think when the 4K came out, or whatever. Which I was like, "This is a banger. I fucking love this movie." And I remember, if I remember correctly, this is a movie I saw when I was like 3 or 4 years old. My parents like it, and I saw it at like a drive-in, way too young. I mean, that's how my parents were. Like, they're just like, "Ah, fucking watch Poltergeist. It's a kids movie. It's PG. It counts." So,
That's
so
youngest child syndrome. Your
yeah,
older
literally,
siblings are going to be more annoying about what they want to watch, and then you just kind of get dragged along to it. We're not going to watch another Disney Pixar movie, Mom. I'm too old for that. We're going to see
yeah,
Poltergeist in a drive-in. Uh, my
that's how it
experience, I
happens.
feel like everybody has an experience with a horror movie when they're way too young. Mine was The Omen when I was 4 on family friend group vacation in the Catskills at the O'Neill house. And The Omen was being shown on VHS, and that scared the bejesus out of me. And I think it's a reason I have stayed away. I usually had tended to stay away from horror movies throughout my life.
If anything,
The
this
Omen is a
podcast.
go ahead.
Oh, if anything, this podcast is basically exposure therapy for you with horror.
A little bit, yeah. Honestly,
The
yeah.
Omen's a rough one to see as a young kid. Like
Yeah.
there's no real gore or anything in Poltergeist, but I mean The Omen there's some stuff in there that'll get you if you're a little kid. Yeah. The scene with the plate glass window and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not designed for 4-year-olds. No.
No, no, it certainly isn't. But yeah, now we're here now. Gentlemen, before we fully dive into Poltergeist and all the wonderful things that come with it, what have you watched recently? Any movies that you guys have watched in the past couple of weeks? Anything come to mind, top of mind?
So I'll start off. Last week I went to go see The Long Walk. I touched upon it briefly on our last episode, but just more expanded. This was the only like Steve. This is the one of the few like Richard Bachman novels that has like been brought to screen, and it's a Stephen King book. For those of you who don't know, the premise is essentially there's a competition once a year in the dystopian U.S. After like a war-torn USA. And basically, if you fall underneath 3 miles an hour, 3 times the span of an hour in this contest, you get shot in the head and killed. And whoever's the last one standing, who's able to walk the longest, the long walk essentially, ends up win the competition. So it's a movie that ends up feeling like a Vietnam War movie in a way. I mean, the book definitely had parallels to it. It's a first time in a while for a horror movie where like almost every death, I felt the weight of it. Like I almost teared up at a couple points when some of the characters died because they really bring like the camaraderie around the friendship between the characters, even though this brief period of them just being on this fucked up competition where everyone dies. And it's fantastic. It's one of the better Stephen King adaptations I've seen in a while. So highly recommend it. It was probably one of my favorite of the year so far.
I definitely want to check that out. I just haven't had time. I didn't get a chance to see it. I do want to see The Smashing Machine also, which did just horribly at the box office. I think it got
No one gave a shit.
$6 million. That's the Taylor Swift curse, just taking over box
Yes.
office. But it was interesting. Sorry, quick box office tryout. It was worldwide. One Battle After Another did 43 million, I think, opening weekend, and then it shot up to 103 million. So I feel like word of mouth is really getting out about One Battle After Another, and people are continuing to go see it. It didn't have that steep decline at the box office that most
Mhm.
movies have nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's also bullshit the Taylor Swift thing. Quick tangent, but my local AMC, I talked about this on Twitter. I had to bitch about this on Twitter, so I'm gonna bitch about it on my platform to my podcast. The Taylor Swift show, basically this weekend, a new indie came out called Good Boy, which is essentially a dog movie, a horror movie from the perspective of a dog, like a haunted house, but it's all from the dog's perspective. I wanted to go see it. Came out this weekend. My local AMC was only playing at 10 p.m. because they're showing 40 or 50 different screens of the fucking Taylor Swift movie. And I was like, all right, seriously, I'm sure Taylor Swift could lose one or two screens and still be okay, AMC. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I was checking my AMC this weekend and the Taylor Swift concert thing was playing every half an hour on the half an hour. It was like 3, 3:30,
Yeah.
4, 4:30. And it's like, all right, you don't need to do this. Because I wanted to see Good Boy also, and I wanted to see The Smashing Machine. I just didn't make it out to the theater at all this weekend. But my theater, which usually there are 22 screens, they usually get everything in. Like we get all the movies that come out in a weekend. There were no showings of Good Boy, so I didn't get a chance to see that. So hopefully that'll come out this weekend. Maybe I was thinking it's just waiting for a wider release, but I don't want to miss that movie. I want to see that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's disappointing.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. So my local, or my AMC I go to is like a pretty big one. I think it's like tr around 20 screens, also with an IMAX and a Dolby. Um,
Hmm.
So I was going with friends to go see One Battle After Another again because I've just been hyping this up, and then after I saw it, I was like, okay, we're going, and we were going to go on Sunday, and the initially they only had a 12 p.m. screening of it, and I was like, that is so bizarre. Why is it only a 12 p.m. like that noon? And there was a million Taylor Swift things, and then on Wednesday they redid it. They had three screenings in IMAX, and then they had like eight other screenings of it too. I was like really impressed that One Battle After Another got that kind of love. But maybe it's because they knew the word. I don't know. I don't deal with the scheduling of
I
movie
mean, counter
theater.
programming, I think they have to know that not everyone is there to go see Taylor Swift. So,
Yeah.
ideally, at least.
And Taylor
And
Swift seems really front loaded. It seems like everybody who wants to see the Taylor Swift concert is going to see it the weekend it comes out. So in the
I
subsequent days, you can open up some spots for other movies.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I also don't think it's like I think it was just in the theaters this weekend because it was she had a new album come out. So my girlfriend
Oh,
went to
okay.
it, so it was just like she gave a description of all the tracks on these, like every song, like what it was about. Then they played the song, and then they showed the one music video they have left, and that was it.
So, wow.
So that was the Taylor Swift experience. But yeah, Robert, any movies you watched recently? Maybe a little
I have
horror to
been
kick off?
doing I have been doing a ton of podcast work lately. So a lot of what I've been seeing has been stuff for either my podcast or other podcasts that I've been doing guest spots on. But I did find time to watch this past weekend the new VHS horror movie came out on Shudder. And that is, if you're not familiar, Tim, there is a franchise of called VHS where it is a bunch of found footage like anthology movies. Each movie is like five movies within it. It's all anthologized stuff like by different directors, different writers. And the new VHS movie called VHS Halloween came out this past weekend, so I checked that out. Shudder, if you don't have Shudder and you like horror stuff, you got to get Shudder. Shudder is one of the best streaming services out there. It's dirt cheap compared to most other streaming services. It's like around $5 a month, and they have a ton of
Yeah.
horror content on there. It's great. I love it. I probably spend more time watching Shudder than anything else. New VHS movie's fine. I'm not enamored of that franchise, but it's okay. I thought the last VHS movie, VHS Beyond, was the best one in the VHS franchise. This one, Halloween, is just okay. It's like a typical anthology movie where there's five stories and maybe like two of them are really good and the other three are kind of meh. So what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
You're always going to get into mixed bag, especially if the VHS movies. There are some that are like just
Yes.
the batting average was awful. Like viral, I remember the batting average was like maybe one good sketch, if that. But this one, I liked some of the sketches, like the Coochie Coochie Coo one, like freaked the hell out of me. I just love Shudder. Shudder's a subscription service I only do once a year at Halloween time, where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna
Okay.
front load it. I'm just gonna go all in on October and just watch like Shudder like almost exclusively. So, but yeah, definitely check out the VHS movies. And Rob, I do like that you knew that Timmy had zero clue what VHS was. You
I
you you
kind of
were able to,
figured.
you were able to sniff that out. Like this guy doesn't know what fucking VHS is.
He's wearing a New York Giants hoodie. There's a 0% chance he knows about the VHS franchise. Um, there is a correlation to that. I do believe it. No, so I am going on a trip with my girlfriend to Chicago at the beginning of November, and she is from Chicago, and we were discussing Chicago-based movies, which may be a limited number compared to something like New York, but a lot of great movies. And I showed her one of my all-time favorites, The Blues Brothers.
Yeah, a movie we
I
meant to cover.
We meant to cover it and then we just missed it. I love that movie so much. I loved it. Like I was like enamored with it as a kid, just like the music of it. And now rewatching it, I'm just like, this movie is so insane and on so many drugs.
Yeah, it's like cocaine the movie.
You can feel the cocaine in the production of this thing. Like
Wasn't there a budget for like cocaine in that? Literally.
most of the 80s comedies had a cocaine
Yeah.
production budget. But like the music still stands out. The humor is so dry, which is to my taste of humor there. And then it's
Hmm.
just like the plot just kind of continues. They just basically pick up enemies until the big show, and then they get chased by all of them at the end. And that is essentially that is the elevator pitch of this movie. Like there's no reason for them to run over Illinois Nazis, other than to say I really fucking hate Illinois neo-Nazis, and then they knock them off a bridge, and then
Yeah.
my one nitpick of the movie is they fly over the bridge, right? And then who plays him? He's in Nashville.
Oh, Henry Gibson.
Henry Gibson, yes, yes. Henry Gibson goes, "Get me that license plate." I'm like, that car is so far gone. There's a 0% chance you're pulling that license plate.
Yeah.
0% chance. But I like that the Wrigley bit works on him. Uh, there, but yeah, just so many. It's such like a charming movie. If you've never seen Blues Brothers, please go check it out. It's just wonderful. You will see the light. You will understand the term "we're on a mission from God" ever more clearly than you will watching the Blues Brothers. That is the movie I watched this weekend, and funny enough, you two are like, "Oh, it's October, Halloween time." I was like, "Blues Brothers."
Yeah, yeah.
But this is Poltergeist.
Don't adjust the television set. Your reception's fine, but in their new suburban home, the Freeling family has tuned into something beyond our world. Poltergeist. You'll never look at your television set the same way again. Poltergeist, a Steven Spielberg production, rated PG.
Now playing at a theater near you, check newspapers.
I love that little just check newspapers on it. It's just so wonderful. It
You'll never
is
look at your TV the same way
same way
again.
again. Poltergeist is a 1982 American supernatural horror film directed by Tobe Hooper and written by Steven Spielberg, Michael Grace, and Mark Victor from a story by Spielberg. It stars Jo Beth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, and Beatrice Straight and was produced by Spielberg. The film focuses on a suburban family whose home is invaded by malevolent ghosts that abduct their youngest daughter. Um, so should we just jump off the conspiracy theories right off the bat here? The Spielberg
Oh, yeah.
actually directed this movie,
Yeah,
conspiracies?
sure.
Because that was like the one thing I knew about this movie going into it was like, oh, some people say that Spielberg actually directed this movie, and that's why it's good. And then I'm like, you're just disrespecting my man, Tobe Hooper over here.
Well, basically, there's so many different takes on this and everything like that. There's so much evidence out there of like who did what. But apparently, like at one point, Steven Spielberg said that Tobe isn't like a take charge sort of guy. If a question was asked and an answer wasn't immediately forthcoming, I'd jump in and say what we could. And Tobe would just nod in agreement. That became our process of collaboration. So I feel like Steven Spielberg, this is probably one of the first movies he ever produced. I don't have it in front of me, but I definitely have to imagine he was a very hands-on producer to say the least. So he definitely had final call, and Tobe Hooper was like, okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's still elements. This feels almost a little more grimy than a Steven Spielberg movie. The Steven Spielberg movie would have been even a little more Hollywood than this is.
It just didn't feel like it didn't feel like a Spielberg movie, like outside of like the suburban American neighborhood, like the direction, the way the camera kind of worked. It definitely didn't feel. It didn't have the I don't want to say schmaltz in a negative terms, but you know what I mean? Like there's a whimsicality to the way that Spielberg moves the camera. It's almost like a wand that he's just throwing around and just having that thing like seamlessly glide and the way that he like stages everything. It didn't have that to it, which to me is like the number one standout of all Spielberg movies is the camera movement and the placement within the screen and how the people are interacting. Like that's usually my dead giveaway of a Spielberg movie if I didn't know what I was watching. Robert, for you, have you been enamored with this? Did you know when you were 4 years old, glued to the TV, that Steven Spielberg may have directed this movie?
I'm sure at 4 years old, glued to the TV, I didn't know who Steven Spielberg was. I just knew here's a movie I like, huzzah! But yeah, I've certainly heard all the rumors and everything. I know that if you go through enough sources looking things online, apparently both Hooper and Spielberg have disputed the rumors of how heavily Spielberg was involved, but it does feel more like a Spielberg movie than a Hooper movie, because if you watch things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Funhouse, like this doesn't have that layer of grittiness to it that those movies do. It
Oh,
doesn't feel like they have
Well,
that whole like violent aspect to it.
the family aspect too feels very Spielbergy in the beginning, where like they're
Yes.
all like together and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like Spielberg was just a very hands-on producer. I mean, like he was definitely like the type that like this is
The,
Tobe Hooper's first studio movie. He probably didn't have the balls to tell Steven Spielberg to fuck off when
but
he was trying to say something.
by his via his IMDb page, not counting the shorts that he made, that he somehow has listed as as producers on here. His first produced movie was I Want to Hold Your Hand in 1978, then Used Cars in 1980, Continental Divide in 1981, and Poltergeist in 1982, followed by E.T. and so on and so forth. There. So this is very early on in his production career, and he has over 220 production credits to his name. So he's been quite active as a producer in his career. Uh, there, I do agree though, like that Tove Hooper like grittiness, like it'll just never exist in that kind of like a suburban thing. And I mean, this is what Spielberg does so well. Like I think everyone would agree that Spielberg. I think I was thinking about this, like people, like some of these Hollywood people's like secret superpower. Like I say for Leonardo DiCaprio, it's his taste. It's not his acting ability. It's his taste and the projects that he selects. Because there's very rarely a miss. Like I would say the most recent miss he's had is Don't Look Up, and then if you go through his backlog even farther, it's like there's not really a ton of misses on his end. And then like with Spielberg, I feel like he knows exactly what the audience wants to see out of a project, and is that is his artistic commitment to the product versus being like, no, the entire family needs to get sucked into the hole at the end of the movie and everybody gets sucked in and everybody dies, like some, crazy artist thing that people would definitely do. Nope, he's like, nope, family's gonna get out of there safe. And then they're gonna be at a Holiday Inn and Craig T. Nelson's gonna shove a TV out the door, and that's how we're gonna end our movie. And
Yeah.
that's what the people are gonna want to see. And we're gonna want to see
Well,
the greedy the greedy real estate developer get his comeuppance at the end too. People are going to want to see that.
Well, this also felt like it wasn't very common to see Steven Spielberg be like a writer in a movie because the only other writing credit he had before this, like full-on writing credit, was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So at this point, it was almost shocking that he gave up like one of his scripts to like someone else, especially I don't know, like Tobe Hooper, who like this was his first studio movie. But overall, I mean, I think that like. It's because of E.T. E.T. was the reason why he didn't do both movies at the same time because he was just like almost just like too much at once. But I feel like you could definitely see the DNA of that. But I feel like some scenes like the meat coming apart on the kitchen table, that feels like Toe Hooper right there. I feel like it would have been less gruesome if Spielberg did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his writing credits here on IMDb, and like, again, I'm not counting his shorts that he did, but he has a couple of story. He has The Close Encounters is the first, and The Sugarland Express, Poltergeist, Goonies, and then he just has a bunch of video games and TV shows in the mid to late 80s to 90s. He created the Medal of Honor video game series.
Oh, I forgot about
Oh,
that.
I didn't
I
know
never
that.
knew that.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
no.
He only has 26 writing credits, and these are some of them here. And his most recent writing credit is The Fablemans, which is very, very intimate to his story. So it's not super surprising that that would go that way. So for you, Robert, now kind of like revisiting it, what stood out to you this watch of the movie, from whether it be the acting, the production, the story, like what was it to you that kind of like stood out in the film after not seeing it for a bunch of years, even though it's probably ingrained in the back of your brain somewhere?
To the surprise of no one, I think Craig T. Nelson stood out the most to me. I mean, he really centers this movie and he gives such good reactions to things. I think the one moment where I was like, "Oh yeah, there he is just like delivering on this movie" is the scene where one of the paranormal investigators, I forget their names, but he's talking about how over 7 hours he videotaped a little toy car
Yeah.
move like seven
Yes.
feet or something.
Yeah.
And Craig T. Nelson is about to open the door to this room that's going to hell, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, really? Okay, all
Yeah.
right then. Let's see what's behind this door then. If
Sure.
you think that's so fascinating."
Oh yeah, I'm
But
sure you're
his
gonna find that.
reactions to stuff. His
Immediately
reactions to
deflates the
stuff is
guy.
so yes, he opens the door and it's just like, oh, okay.
Which is
Yeah, my
great.
little toy car.
If I'm not mistaken, ILM did the special effects on this, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, oh, that was such a great, especially for 1982. Like that was just such
The
like a,
lamp coming by, that was
yeah,
like
Yes.
shifting
it was
around.
I agree for the Craig T. Nelson's like a real good center of this. And I love like how you're like really introduced to the family and everything like that, like at nighttime and everything. And you see like Craig T. Nelson and his wife just like smoking a joint in bed, just totally
Him,
be like the cool hip parents or something like
him,
that.
him reading
Like a Reagan book while smoking weed.
Ronald, yeah,
It's a weird
Yeah.
combination.
that's a very 80s parents combination right there. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I
And the
thought
kid comes into their room and they don't even put the weed out. They just like kind of put it on the ashtray, like, oh, okay, we'll
Yeah.
save this for later. We don't care if the kid sees us doing this.
California parents, man. That's what that is. Craig T. Nelson really stood out to me. I also thought Joe Beth Williams was fantastic in this, just like really giving a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of the ethos in this movie, and just like she's so full of like emotion, just like watching her house fall apart first and get taken over, and then losing her daughter, and just like I love those scenes where they try to where they start communicating through the TV, and they have it all set up with all the equipment and stuff, and she just gives such like a great like you could feel the fear, like the mix of fear and the strength she's trying to convey when she's communicating with her daughter, which is a very hard like vocal inflection to be able to get off the cuff there like that. And I just like you could really feel her pain, but trying to guide her daughter through this unknown place that she doesn't know.
Mhm.
To me, she was like one of the standout performances. Tommy, what about you?
Like I said, Craig T. Nelson I think was great, but I think that like the whole entire family dynamic. Heather O'Rourke was like the sweetest child ever, and it's just so tragic what ended up happening to her. And a lot of the cast in general, there's like a whole curse behind Poltergeist. It's insane to think about. I guess we could dive into that right now, but like Heather O'Rourke died when she was 12 years old, which is just the most tragic thing in the world. And then the other person, like the older sister, who
Dominique
is
Dunn.
she's Griffin Dunn's sister from After Hours, and she was like brutally murdered or strangled to
She
death
was
by her
strangled by her
her
ex-boyfriend during an argument on the driveway of her West Hollywood home. She fell into a coma and died 5 days later.
yeah, just insane.
Yeah,
Oh
just and she was 22, and then Heather O'Rourke was 12.
yeah,
Like
so
crazy little curse around this
insane
movie.
insane thing. So like the fact there's like an IMDb fact on it that was like, oh, like the boy, he's like the longest surviving what's it called, kid of the three. And it's like, oh, that's depressing. That shouldn't be the
Yeah,
case.
absolutely it is. Yeah.
Because Heather O'Rourke like definitely should have had like a career because like she had the Poltergeist sequels, which Rob, have you seen those?
I remember seeing at least one of them when I was a kid, but I don't even know if it was two or three that I saw. I know I saw one of them whenever I was young, and I don't remember much about it other than, and I hope I'm thinking of the right movie. There's a scene with like the worm in a bottle of tequila is relevant somehow, but I forget what it does.
That sounds like a Poltergeist thing right there.
Yes.
So they seem more like the cheesy 80s movies. I know the second one had the majority of the cast, except for Dominic Dunn, who died literally the year this came out. And then the third one was like Heather O'Rourke goes off to visit her like uncle in like Chicago or something like that, in like a high-rise tower, if I remember correctly. But both of them just sound like, yeah, I don't need to get around to that.
There's also a 2015 remake, which I don't even
Oh, Sam
remember.
Rockwell. Yeah.
Was that Sam Rockwell was in that?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's Sam Rockwell. I forget who else is in it, but
But
that apparently was not good.
yeah, it didn't get a ton of love behind it. Rosemary DeWitt, Jane Addams, and Jared Harris from Mad Men. Okay, I mean, I like Jared Harris a lot, but
And Sam
actually,
Raimi was involved somehow, like he was a producer or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sam Raimi produced.
Yeah.
Actually did 95.4 million at the box office on a
I mean, I
35
do
million
remember
budget.
seeing it. I mean, I didn't see it, but I remember like hearing about it at the time, and I was like, I don't need to see it remake. Don't really
I
need to.
saw it and I don't remember anything about it. It was not a memorable movie.
That's what it seemed like. It was just like a forgotten, like basically like probably carbon cut copy. Like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake they did, that was just like god awful with Jackie Earle.
At least I remember that movie. I mean, I've seen it more times than I've seen the Poltergeist remake, but at least I remember about the Nightmare on Elm Street one. I couldn't tell you a gosh darn thing about the Poltergeist remake other than that I'm relatively sure I saw it.
You might have saw it. It was probably midnight or something like that. You're half asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of those types where it's like, maybe I
Fell
don't know.
asleep during it. Maybe a little nappy during that movie, or just straight up fell asleep and you just said, I don't need to go back. I'm just gonna say I watched it. No one's gonna ever ask me about the. Imagine
This
if
will
Poltergeist
never come
remake.
up in conversation again.
Yeah, yeah. Until some
imagine
podcast gets you on. Yeah, imagine like you watch the original Poltergeist and then you come in and we're like, actually, this is the remake that we do.
and he just goes like no, and like the camera zooms in, like hands on the cheek, slap, wide mouth. No, I was gonna say it's like imagine like being out somewhere and someone just goes, "Hey man, what's your opinion on the 2015 Poltergeist remake?" And you just have
Yeah,
to like look them straight in the eye and be like, "Are you?" Be like, "It was nice to talk to you," and then just walk away from that conversation because that's how that conversation needs to go there. But it's interesting because like kind of hearing of you guys talk about the Poltergeist sequels and just like the franchise as a whole, what is it about this movie to you guys that has made it a classic?
I think definitely overall just like the direction and everything like that, and the way the special effects feel. Where like even though obviously this movie is like from the 80s, it does not feel at any way like dated. In any ways, the special effects really hold up and really and they really make you care about the family. I feel like when a movie like this goes wrong, it's because the family feels generic or there's nothing to them and there's no real personality. But you really get the personality of like the family. Just even the brief scenes of like Craig T. Nelson with his buds like watching football and the neighbor's an asshole or something like that. You get these little character moments that feel like add up to this movie and gives it a little more heart to it
Oh,
overall.
I love that little sequence of the with the TV battle back and forth with the neighbor. And then you just hear the guys being like, "I bet my life savings on this game," and I was just like, "Wow, not much has changed in 40 years, huh?" That's still how sports gambling has gone today.
Yeah.
Because this movie it's a bit of a slow burn to start. Like there's
Mhm.
the horror elements are kind of mixed in there, but it's more atmospheric horror than anything, and you go like something's up with this house, right? But it's not like it doesn't just dwell you right into the, in 10, 15 minutes. It's a slow burn, and part of that is building that family relationship and building up these people here together. Um, you could definitely like, and it hits more than when Carol Ann is taken away. When
Yeah.
Heather O'Rourke, gets disappeared from the movie. Um, I
Like I
I
feel like a mediocre version of this was like, for example, a new Conjuring movie that came out last month. I saw that in theaters, and this movie were like they just like at this point they didn't even care about the family that's getting haunted. It's all about the Warren. So the family getting haunted that was like barely even like characters. They just had some moments was like, oh, spooky shit's happening, and then I was like, okay, like, but why do we care about these people? Like, what's going on here?
Can
They
I
did not have
just
that.
can I just say Robbie Freeling had elite toys in his
Yeah.
bedroom?
For being, yeah, a little 6 or 7 year old kid. Yeah, he's got like every single
Other
collectible Star Wars thing you could ever want.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
other maybe George Lucas was his best friend. Maybe, yeah, maybe he knew someone that knew Lucas in the end of the end.
He had an
Maybe
Incredible Hulk riding on a horse.
maybe all these toys
Oh
were
yeah, yeah,
just
that's great.
maybe these toys were all just on the shelf in 1981 and
But
he was
still, like,
somehow able to get them.
I guess this is where we're talking about this scene. But like, who the fuck buys that clown for their kid?
Yes. Well, the clown shows up throughout the whole freaking movie. The clown is
Yeah.
always in there. That thing is that I like. It was
Yeah,
funny. I was texting my girlfriend. I was like, "Oh, I'm watching Poltergeist, for the podcast." And she's like, "Is that one about clowns?" And then I'm like, "I don't think so. I haven't watched anything." And then I'm like, watching the movie 5 minutes in, and there's a freaking clown, and I'm like, "Is this a clown movie? Is the poster misled me here? Has
yeah.
everything I've thought I knew about this movie just completely mistaken
It's like
me?"
a Pennywise ripoff or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little paranoid thing. So for me, on my first watch, I thought that first part of the character introduction was great. And then our call to action was also great, where the paranormal activity finally starts taking over. The house is shaking. Carol Ann gets kidnapped. Then in the second act there, I will say the movie, it dragged a little bit for me when the paranormal activity people started coming in. It just felt just long. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like we have the three from the university come in. I love that interview with Craig T. Nelson. Like he's just so burnt out, smoking a cigarette, just like guy clearly hasn't slept in weeks. And then they go to the house, they're running all these tests and stuff, and then they're like, hang on, we need one more person to come in here. And then we get another person to come in here, and we're getting this whole and she was great. What was her
Zelda
character?
Rubinstein. She
Zelda
was like the best
Rubinstein, yeah.
part.
Pangea Barons, yeah, she was just a great character
All-time heat
performance.
check.
Great heat check in there. Definitely injected life where I was starting to sit there being like, okay, how
Yeah,
like
they knew when to deploy her right there, and like her whole mannerisms. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like this house is clean. Her voice is just
Yes.
amazing. Where like I was thinking earlier today, I was trying to see if there's like a merch item because it seems like a no-brainer merch item. If there's a welcome mat of just Zelda Rubinstein's face saying "All are welcome, all are welcome." That'd be amazing. Why is that not a thing? That should be something to be selling at Spirit of Halloween right
I was
now.
gonna say Spirit Halloween every year. You should be able to buy that doormat. Yeah, 100%. No, she's great in this movie. I was surprised watching it this time how long the movie takes to get to her because I remembered her
Mhm.
being such a relevant character in the movie that as
Mhm.
I'm watching it and I'm like, where the hell is Zelda
So
Rubinstein at? Because
I
I know she comes in.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was coming. Like I had no
Mhm.
clue. And I'm just sitting there and they're having the nice moment, the female for the lead
And
psychologist and the
parent, yeah.
mother, they're having nice moments. It's just more little like character moments, but they're just running tests and like after we have the scene of them opening the room and everything swirling around, it just like the movie slams to a halt for like 10 minutes, like 15 minutes, where I'm just like, they should have just been like, hey, we need to call someone in here to who knows what they're doing. And then Zelda Rubinstein appears. Like, at least for me,
Well, I always misremember that like the initial paranormal investigators end up just like leaving or like they're like, oh, I'm over my head, I'm
the
done.
one guy, although he did have that very cool sequence where he starts tripping out in the
Yeah,
bathroom and he
yeah, and his
starts like
face is
feeling
melting
it.
and
And
everything.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is much more. And then it turns out it was just in his head or whatever. And he's like, I'm, I'm, I'm out of here. Peace out. Um,
Well, it doesn't shock me the movie is nominated for an Academy Award for Best Special Effects. I mean, that's probably like the money shot right there. It lost out to E.T. for special effects.
I can see that.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, this is a movie that I feel like just because Steven Spielberg was involved, this movie was nominated for 3 Oscars. I was like, okay, we gotta give it to Spielberg. Come on, like he needs a nomination here or there. He produced this. Because the other ones were best sound effects editing, which E.T. also won, and then it was best original score, which E.T. also won. So they gave it to the E.T. movie. The other Spielberg.
This is like
Sounds like
the
E.T. cleaned up that year.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this is the E.T. Scraps Spielberg project here. This is like it's a really good movie, but it just does not have the cultural cash that E.T. has.
Oh yeah, I mean this was still a big hit, and this is something that like even like as me as a '90s kid, I still was aware of it. And I remember there was like that DirecTV ad for a while about this, where it was like Craig T. Nelson being like, "Oh, like we should have gotten DirecTV, then we wouldn't have had like this static or something like that."
Yeah, I mean it did really well at the box office, $10.7 million budget, 121 million at the box office. I know we covered E.T. a long time ago on this podcast. I do not recall those numbers, but I know they were bigger
Hmm.
than
And
that.
this movie was also a huge hit on, direct or not direct to video, but video release. Like this movie was huge once it came out on VHS. It got a lot of money on the rental side of things too.
Oh yeah, this was like a sleepover classic because I remember like even like in the '90s, my sister was talking about like having a sleepover watching Poltergeist, and everyone was traumatized that night because like especially there's some scenes like especially like the pool scene where like she where what's her name the mom Diane Freeling ends up like falling into the pool and then all the skeletons pop out and apparently like the rumor is that those are real skeletons they used. It was just cheaper to do that. And Tobe Hooper did it on Texas Chainsaw. And he's like, I can get away with that again.
I'll let them know after it happened. They don't need to know
Yeah,
all
that's
about
what
it.
happened. That's what happened.
That's
Gilbert Williams found
yeah.
out after it was filmed, and it was just like, oh.
Oh,
That's what
so
I've always heard too. I've never seen confirmation of it. Maybe this article has confirmation on whether that's true, but I've always heard that exact same thing is they used real skeletons because they were cheaper and nobody told the actors involved that they were real.
well,
That's awesome.
that was the other interesting thing with this movie. It has two endings to it.
It
Mhm.
Well,
does. I was watching it today, and as somebody who's seen this movie several times over the course of my life, I got to, whenever Zelda Rubinstein is like, "This house is clean," I
Yeah.
thought like, am I watching a cut of the movie where the clown doesn't attack the boy?
Really,
Because I
yeah.
thought like that's the end of the movie, and I didn't realize that the clown doesn't attack him until the very end of this movie.
I was
yeah,
watching this with my girlfriend. She said the same thing. She's like, "Wait, where's the clown scene? Like, what's going on?" And like, I forgot too.
Yeah.
Am I misremembering? Is this a Mandela effect thing that we all like thought happened?
it's like Luke, I am your father. When it's no, I am your. It's I am your
Yeah,
father.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought like for me, it was just like it was like they had all these extra special effects like just primed and raring to go, and we're just like, all right, we're just gonna add a second ending because they rescued the daughter. They're moving out of the house. I'm like, oh great, okay, this movie's over. Why is this movie an hour and 50 minutes long? And then I hit the thing and I was like, there's still 20 minutes left in this movie. What on earth?
Yeah.
What on earth is going to happen? I mean, I'm guessing the house is not clean. The house is not clean, and like at first I was like a little like the mom was like putting the kids to bed. Craig D. Nelson's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys for a little bit. I'm gonna go take care of things at the office. I'm like, oh, these classic horror movie pitfalls right here.
Mm.
She goes, and I'm like, all right, like, where is this going? And then as soon as she stumbles into the pool and the skeletons come, I was like, oh, okay, it's on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm into this. Like, I like this like second wind this movie gets here.
Yeah.
Um,
Like we said the best for last a little earlier in there, where it's like, okay, we're just gonna let it all out right now. Because I remember those are the scenes I remember the most of like the door opening. It's like all this like weird ooze. It's almost like
yes.
the blobs in there or something like that. And you're like, holy shit. That's the one thing I remember a lot when I was a kid being like traumatized by that. Be like, oh fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of iconic scenes in this, whether it's the clown attacking, the tree busting through the window, the Carol Ann saying they're here. I mean, this movie is just full of iconic stuff that sticks with you for years after you've seen this movie. The scene where the computer generated imagery beast comes out and is
Oh
like
yeah.
guarding the closet door and is attacking
Yeah.
the mom.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy creative. One thing I did notice, one of the paranormal activity guys, he was like when the one guy goes and peels off his face, the other guy's sketching, and
Mm,
the sketch looked very similar to that. I was like, oh, that's a nice little foreshadowing. Like it's like a less creepy version of that, but it was like the
mm.
same dynamics of it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that will pop up because like the camera just lingered on it for just a moment where I was like, is this going to be relevant? And like I deposited it in the back of my brain,
Yeah.
and then I let it go from there. Yeah, no, it was that crazy thing. I loved and like again, it's like I feel like this movie just has some like kind of weird pacing issues where like we're not introduced to Craig T. Nelson's boss until like the hour 10 mark in the movie where he comes in, he's like, everybody's worried about you. We're gonna give you this plot of land on a cemetery here. Don't worry, we've cleaned out a cemetery before. Like so that way we can know that like, oh, the land that they're living on was once a cemetery and they did not actually properly discard of the bodies there. To like
Mm.
have this comeuppance here, but I was kind of like have that in the first 10 minutes of the
He could have
movie.
easily been like in the football game with all of them or something like that and be like,
Yeah, or
oh,
just
Yeah.
yeah.
like
Like
have
quick,
have
like five
have
second.
one scene, have like a 30
Well,
second scene of him talking to his boss, like, "Ah, I gotta go home, little bit while
as
Robbie has basketball and like running out the office or whatever. Just showing him that it felt so like disjointed, and it was just to bring this comeuppance of like Craig T. Nelson being like, "You didn't discard the property properly." Uh, but
yeah.
it
But
was
I
just
still
so
I, I still think it's a good touch, but there's some scenes like I feel like if Tobe Hooper had total creative control and like Spielberg had no say, then like Tobe Hooper probably would have cut out the scene of like the mom or the other paranormal investigator talking about what happens when you die and you see the bright light or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that feels very Spielbergy in there too. Just like a nice like heartwarming moment. Not that I hated the scene, but
No, I didn't either. But again, it's just like this movie is just like it's not even a bad movie. It's just like 10 minutes too long. You know, it's just like it's just a hair too long. I was just kind of like when it was getting to I was like, all right, can we just with the paranormal stuff? It's just like let's get to it. And then there's just another ending, which was really cool and really great. But it was just like, why are there two endings to this movie? Like, why didn't you try to save her through that special effects? Like what is going on here? Um,
Mm.
I, that was just my like take. Did you guys feel that at all watching it?
I can see, I think any movie that's over 90 minutes really needs to explain itself on why it's going as long as it is. Because I think 90 minutes is the sweet spot for most movies. I think if you're going over that, you really need to have
Es-
good rationale for it.
especially for genre movies, and I'll give like a 5 minute buffer on that. Like if your movie's 95 minutes, it's
Yeah,
like okay,
yeah.
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and you're doing some cool stuff with it, and your action scenes are just a little bit longer, your horror scenes, cool, whatever. But this one was just like 20 minutes too long.
Like
Uh,
there's scenes of Coach going off and selling a house to another family, and it's like, all right, you could have just told me his job was real estate developer. Like that's not something that falls under the premise of show not tell. I didn't need to see this guy selling
Yeah,
a
it's
house. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
100%.
exactly. It's not as important to see that shit.
Or like if you're gonna do that work scene, then like have him in the office and we see that boss. See, like I was saying before, just
yeah,
like show us his relationship with the boss. So then when he comes to check in on him, we're not like, who is this guy? Why do we care? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? Why are they on a random hill, like overlooking empty plots of land? Like, what is
right
going
next
on
to a
here?
giant cemetery.
There.
Yeah,
Which I do
Just
have to
to flex
say,
a shot. It was a good shot though, I do have
it
to
was a
admit.
great shot. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was part practical, part matte painting. Like it felt like the extension of it was definitely a matte painting. It was a gorgeous shot there.
Mm.
Um, any other things that I may have missed from Poltergeist before we move on to our next category?
I think
I
we're
feel
good.
like we talked about
Oh,
the effects, but the effects are very good in this movie. They've aged pretty well. I think probably the worst effect, and it's a tough one to do at any point, but especially in 1982, is the scene where the guy's picking at his face. It looks very Terminator from 1984, where it's like, oh, that's clearly like a rubber mask that he's picking at,
Oh,
but that's fine.
you could
The
oh,
tell.
it has
beast
a
looks
charm.
great, and yeah,
Yeah. It
For
has like
me,
a
it was
claymation charm.
but for me, it was only that like first cut to the back to the like they cut down to the sink and then they cut back and like it's very clear that
yes,
his face is a rubber mask and then it
yes.
keeps going and I was like then like once it started to you're like oh this looks great but there was just that like 4 frame window where you're just like oh he's wearing a rubber mask right now that man is wearing a
Yeah.
rubber mask yeah and just highlight Jerry Goldsmith's score just like a great suburban undertone with little horror mixes flared in there. Just really fun, really like kept the levity. That felt very Spielberg-esque. That felt like right out of his wheelhouse there.
Yeah, like the score is almost subversive in the face of the movie. You're not expecting that like this light poppy kind of score to be there for this ghost film, but
Mm.
it's catching you unawares. It's keeping you expecting one mood and then the movie gives you another mood. It's just a really good blending of tone.
100%. 100%.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, who is the star of the show? I know we touched on the major performances earlier, but who do you think steals the show? Who gave the best performance in your estimation? Tommy, I'll kick it over to you first.
All right, so I think like if I had to go by favorite Zelda Rubinstein, I mean she brings in like a jolt of energy into this movie that was much needed at that point. And she's only maybe in the movie for like 10, 20 minutes if that, but like you feel all those 20 minutes and you're like, okay, this is great. And she's like a character that like very obviously showed up for the sequel. I think she was in the third one too, probably, if I had to guess. And it was just like, of course, like you have this one character and you just want to see her in this movie over and over again. Just make her poltergeist everything.
I think it works best though that she's only in the movie for like approximately 10 minutes though. Like
I would not be shocked if the sequels had like more and more, where it became like a less is more type situation.
yes, that would not surprise me either. So Zelda Rubinstein, your choice? Because I'll accept that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Robert, how about you?
I would say, as I noted when we were talking about just general aspects of the movie, the best performance in the movie is Craig Nelson. The who steals the show is Zelda Rubinstein, but I think Craig T. Nelson overall, he's given more to do. He's the center of the movie, and it feels like he really earns being one of the main characters. Like he's just so good, so entertaining. Like he brings some of that, like you guys were saying, he brings some of the levity to this movie when, to let the air out of the balloon and let you know, like, okay, it's all right to laugh at what's going on. Like whenever he's trying to psychically communicate his answer to
Yes, I
Zelda
was
Rubinstein.
just about to say that. I
And
love
this is
that
like
little
right where,
sequence.
and this is like right when he first started hitting as an actor. Like he
Mhm.
really, like before that, he was mostly known for like B movies and stuff like that. And then like the year before, he had like Private Benjamin and like Stir Crazy, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, in this, and this definitely was a breakout, and you can see why.
And if you're sitting there going, I don't know who Craig T. Nelson is, he is the voice of Mr. Incredible. I think
Yeah,
it's
for
funny
a
that
younger,
for
Yes. Yeah.
younger listeners, but I feel like he does. I was very surprised that he like doesn't really do the Craig like the Mr. Incredible voice too much there. Like it's very it's like you could tell it's the same voice, but it's very uh subdued there. It's not that like over the top vocal performance that an animated picture will require compared to live action or film, if you will. I think I'm between Craig T. Nelson and Joe Beth Williams. You know what? We'll each pick a different one. I know I mentioned her before, but she carried a lot of the emotional weight in this movie, and really did a great job of having the audience empathize with her, conveying strength, and just being a good mom despite taking a bath when you should just be watching your children 24/7 until you're out of that house. Uh,
yeah, yeah. At that
I
point, like just no parental, yeah, all the parental supervision.
80s parents, man. 80s parents, man.
It's a
Yeah.
bummer that she didn't have a bigger career, Joe Beth Williams, because like she was like fantastic in this movie, and every time I see her, I'm like, oh yeah, she's great. And then you look at her like IMDb, and you see that like 10 years after this, she was the third build in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, the tragic Sylvester Stallone movie that we'll never cover.
She'll never cover. Poor Estelle
Yeah,
Getty. She wants you to cover that movie.
yeah. Have you heard the story about that movie?
I have not heard the story of this movie.
I would say so. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is a terrible, terrible, terrible '90s movie.
Like
That's
good, bad, or just bad, bad.
I, I feel like the reputation's bad, bad. I haven't seen it. I don't know if you have, Rob, but
I saw it when it was on video when it came out. I don't remember it much, but I mean, I remember it existing. And I know that at some point in the movie, he delivers the line, "Stop or my mom will shoot."
that's incredible. And it's a movie that Stallone got into it because Schwarzenegger, during the height of their rivalry in the '90s, tricked Stallone into thinking like, oh, like Schwarzenegger really wants to do this movie. I should sign up for this. And Schwarzenegger's like, yeah, I knew it was a piece of shit. I want Stallone to star in that. It's a movie that is basically it's like Estelle Getty has a gun, and she's like his buddy and a partner in crime or something, or partner against crime.
Yeah, I'm always curious when people because like I feel like when I was growing up, oh, that's a bad movie meant like one singular term, but then you
Hmm.
get introduced to things like The Room and Samurai Cop, and you realize it has a very different meaning to it than like that. There's just levels to it because like I'll always say the worst movies are boring movies, like just
Yes.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a movie I'm just gonna forget that I'm just sitting there like why am I watching this? Like to me that is the epitome of a truly bad movie. Like a bad movie with really bad production design and really bad acting and a ridiculous story and like a terrible script could be really funny. Like when it's cut together right, as long as the editing's okay, it could be really funny. It could be really funny. That's my take on bad movies. Muppet time.
Ah, are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
All right, gentlemen. Poltergeist as a Muppet adaptation. Could you see it? Is it something that we think could be done here? I feel like Spielberg and the Muppets, like there's enough there where you could do it. What do
I
you
think
guys?
that you make all the ghost Muppets like
Mhm.
automatically. So like the clown is just like a Muppet as a clown, or maybe it's like a Gonzo or something like that, dressed up as the clown. Because he already has
Z
Gonzo arms, essentially right there.
Zelda Rubinstein is already a Muppet.
Yeah.
True.
She, as a
She
human being, is a Muppet.
True.
yeah. She's
Good.
still the same. I mean, maybe you keep Heather at work just because like you have the little kid factor, but that's about it. And I could see it work. You make it maybe a little more kid friendly, and then like yeah, you could make it work.
Yeah, I think you could make it work. I think you add a little bit more of like a slapstick level to it with like the ghosts and stuff, and more of the pranks are like a little more slapsticky. Like I think you can
Yes.
add that comedic element to the movie.
Like there's a whole Family Guy episode that parodied this.
That's not surprising. That is not
Yeah.
surprising because I'm pretty sure Family Guy has parodied everything. All right, gentlemen, review time. Give me your score to five. Tommy, I'm gonna kick it off right to you.
All right, I think this is an 80s classic right here. This is like one of Tobe Hooper's best, despite what you might think about who directed it. I think this just plays really well overall. I mean, the scares are really hit when they hit. Special effects are fantastic, and the whole central dynamic of the family really just carries you throughout. I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5. I just love this movie. So,
Robert, to you.
I'm a hair less than that. I have it as a 4 out of 5. I also think this is a horror classic that doesn't get, it's not something you recall at first. When you're thinking of horror classics, you think of Halloween, you think of
mm,
Alien, you think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even in the 80s, you get into like the Jason franchise and Freddy Krueger and everything. This isn't something that comes right to mind when you think horror classic, but it's on the list. It's definitely there. When you rewatch it, you're like, oh yeah, why isn't this the top of most people's list more often? Because it's really well done. And like you said, the family stuff, everything is well acted. You care about the characters in this movie, and it's just really entertaining. And it really is. I know we talked about having seen this too young, but I mean, this is honestly like this could be a kid's first horror movie whenever they're
Yeah.
whatever you deem age appropriate for a
Th
kid to watch horror.
this is like baby's first horror movie because there are real
Yes.
scares in it, but it's not like a slashy gore movie that could scar you
yeah,
for
like no one dies in this, if I remember correctly.
no
I don't
one.
think so. No, yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm gonna go 3.5 out of 5. I think first watch for me, and not knowing what was coming, the pacing issues to this that I discussed previously really stood out to me. I thought it was a good movie. Thought it was a really good movie. Um, I wish it was a little shorter. And I wish there's just parts that they could have trimmed out, but it's great performances, really great special effects, wonderful score, and really good direction as well. I know we kind of touched on it, but that opening sequence, I loved that. Like that cold opening there with the TV on and
Mm.
Carol Ann coming down the stairs. Like I loved the way they just introduced the whole family and put it into one dynamic there. But 3.5 out of 5 for me. Good movie. Definitely check it out. Have it on your Halloween list for October if you've never seen it before. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciated you having on. Wonderful insight you were able to share. Is there anything you want to plug here? Let the people know where they can find you?
Sure. So the website again is swoproductions.com, where we have new articles every single weekday for the foreseeable future, at least. And anything that is social media. So whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, I am on there as SWO Productions. And the podcast again is the Stew World Order podcast, where we review random comic book movies with our guests.
Definitely go check out the Stew World Order. Tommy, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on social media. That's on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're also on Threads, Blue Sky. It's at Seen It Pod, and Blue Sky's Pod Seen It at bluesky.social. And leave us a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Helps us out, helps grow the show. And we're continuing our horror month on into next week. Next week, Tim, I'm throwing you a curveball. We talked about this last night with Upstairs Steve. I think we should cover Return of the Living Dead. I think it's time.
Oh,
You
it's so
watch.
good. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I think it's time.
It's
Punk
time.
rockers versus
Yeah.
zombies. You need to see it.
All right.
It's been 3 years in this podcast or 4 years in this podcast. You gotta get into Return of the Living Dead time.
I really wanted you to do your best Mariah Carey impression. It's time.
Next
Just
time.
like it's time.
Yeah.
All right. That's a requirement. Next time you tell me it's time, you have to do it in a Mariah Carey voice, okay?
Yeah. Okay, I'll try.
All right. That's a verbal agreement right there. Robert, you are a witness to this verbal agreement
I am witness.
at the very end of the show. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. We had a wonderful time here. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next time.